Hi, welcome to the Lightcast. Hi, without further ado, so let's start with the graphic or 2D arts, which is also part of artisans medium. So, yes, I'm very sorry for the noise. So, it is the first part, supposed to be the first part of the artisans medium before the 3D art. Alright, so let's start. First one is we have drawing. When it comes to drawing, it is one of the basic skills needed in visual arts. When we're dealing with drawing, it is usually used as a guide for a final artwork. At the same time, it helps you practice and study different forms. Yeah, so you're very much familiar to what a drawing is. At the same time, when it comes to drawing, it is uh, one of the foundations of many and different art forms. Right, to continue, so alamin natin, or let us understand what are the different mediums, or what is the first medium that comes into your mind when we're dealing with drawing. And the first one is we have pencil. Pencil is made up of graphite with different types of hardness. When it comes to pencil, it creates light to even darker values. As you would know, it is labeled as, sometimes it can be labeled as 2B, 3B, or you can usually see numbers with it because it identifies the softness or the hardness of the graphite that is in the middle of it. Yeah, so that's pencil. So in pencil, so we have different shading techniques. We have plenty of shading techniques that is involved in pencils. And the first one that we have is hatching. Okay, when it comes to hatching, it is a series of parallel lines or even horizontal, vertical lines. But most importantly, it's commonly uh, drawn parallel. And at the same time, it is a line that goes only in one direction. It creates light and shadow values. So if you're gonna see the example here, it shows light and also darker values within this certain artwork. Okay, so that's hatching. At the same time, when it comes to hatching, you cannot crisscross it because if you crisscross it, we're now dealing with cross hatching. When it comes to cross hatching, it is used commonly seen as intersecting lines. And most of the time, it builds more darker tones. It creates more depth. It adds more layers, multiple layers of lines that is crisscrossed together in order to create more texture. Okay, so there's an example of cross hatching. So as you can see, there are a lot of crisscrossing that's happening here compared to the hatching which only has one line, one way, one direction. Okay. So that's cross hatching and hatching for you. Moving forward, we also have stippling. When it comes to stippling, it is a type of shading in which it uses dots. At the same time, it depends or it varies the density when we're shading with it. Yeah. So sometimes it can be heavy with the pencil. An art an artist can be happy with the pencil. At the same time, they can be light with it as well. In order for them to create a variety of depth or density through the use of density. Okay. Stippling creates a lot of texture, but one downside of using stippling as a shading technique is it consumes plenty of time. Yeah. So this is stippling. As you can see, this is continuous dotted patterns to create a certain artwork like this. And the next one is we have blending. Blending is commonly used what I call this, to create smooth transitions of tones. As you can see here in our example, in this type of example, when they use, in which it uses blending. So as you can see, there are a lot of transitions that's going here. That's what I call this, appearing here. Okay. When it comes to blending, most of the artists uses fingers or even stomp to like smudge to blend colors. When an artist uses blending, sometimes it can soften the lines and it creates more realistic effect, and also it remove the harsh edges. And commonly, blending is used in portraits. Alright, so that's blending for you. And then next one is we have scumbling. When it comes to scumbling, it uses loose circular strokes, and you're building the texture gradually. So you're familiar with this one. I guess you have done this once in your life that you're just scumbling, you're just drawing circular lines in your paper, and then you're gradually creating texture by repeating the circular strokes. So as you can see here in the example, scumbling creates light and shadow values at the same time, and also it gives something like a rough appearance. At the same time, it also adds depth to the drawing. But scumbling is commonly used only for backdrops or background because it's kind of what do you call this, abstractly looking artwork if it's done after it's done. So most of the artists doesn't consider this. Okay. And then second medium that we have is ink. When it comes to ink, it is one of the oldest drawing materials or medium that's used by people even way before. It produces more cleaner and controlled lines compared to pencil. Excuse me. At the same time, when it comes to ink, it is commonly used in calligraphy. And one downside of using ink is it's permanent once it's applied. So an ink cannot stand alone as well because it needs a vessel, something like that. Sometimes it can be used with a pen or even a brush. So that's ink. Okay, yeah, that's commonly used for calligraphy. So this is an example of a calligraphy. And then the third one is we have the pastel. When it comes to pastel, it is a type of something like a coloring material. You can consider it like that. It is made up of pigments and binder. It is combined together to create pastel. Most of the time, pastel comes in this form, stick form. Sometimes it can be soft, sometimes it can be hard, or commonly we can also see the type of pastel, which is the oil pastel. Common type of pastel, just the oil pastel. When it comes to pastel, it creates or it produces rich colors, and also it is kind of easy to blend, but at the same time, it can be messy to work with. Yeah, so there are different pastel techniques. So these are the different pastels techniques that you can use. Yeah, we have stippling, feathering, scumbling, impasto, and sgraffito. So let us uh, discuss it one by one. The first pastel technique that we have is the stippling. When it comes to stippling, it uses dots of colors, not just one color, but different colors. It builds pattern and also it adds texture to it. Yes, as what we have stated earlier, it uses multiple or it combines multiple colors to create a certain, what do you call this, artwork. Okay. Also, it is commonly used for, it is good to use for detailed areas of an artwork. So this is an example of a stippling, which is also almost as the same as the stippling and shading technique of pencil. But the difference between them is that this one uses colors, different colors. Okay. Next one is we have the feathering. When it comes to feathering, it uses lighter strokes to create a soft effect. Okay. So it is called feathering because it somewhat represents the look or the texture of a feather. It looks like feather. Yeah. So the artist usually commonly uses light strokes to create a soft effect. Yeah. And in order for you to achieve this one, you need to use the tip of the pastel itself. Yeah, because you wanted to create a gentle texture. And this technique is commonly good for hair or even grass, for what do you call this? Drawing hair or even drawing grass. Yeah, so that's feathering for you. Then the next one is scumbling. When it comes to scumbling, the main highlight of this one is layering of the colors. The base color is still visible, but you're layering it with other colors, sometimes other variation of that same color. Yeah, it adds more depth, and in order for you to achieve this one, you need to use the side of the pastel. Okay? Because you need to create a soft blend in order for you to what do you call this? To layer the colors, and at the same time to enhance the color variation that the people or the audiences will see right after the artwork is done. And then next one is we have the impasto. Yeah, that's impasto. Okay, when it comes to impasto compared to scumbling, impasto is done through the use of thick application of pastel. The pastel is pressed hard on the surface in order for us to create a bold texture. Yeah, so as you can see, it produces stronger colors compared to the other pastel techniques. At the same time, it may also create a 3D effect just because you're applying it thick. You're thickly applying the pastel. Yeah, and you may also be able to highlight some important areas or ideas in your artwork through the use of impasto. One disadvantage of impasto is it's kind of messy to do to create. Yeah, so that's impasto. And then the next one is graffito. So I don't know if you're familiar with this one because this one exists in our childhood. If you're familiar with the thing that you can buy from the palenque or some sari-sari store, in which you're offered with a black black sheet of paper in which the tindera will also give you a toothpick to in order for you to scratch it to reveal the colors inside or after that particular layer, black layer to be exact. Yeah. So that's an example of sgraffito because in sgraffito you're gonna color the what do you call this? The background first. You're gonna put some different colors, random colors, whatever colors that you want, and then right after that you're going to cover it with a darker color. And then right after that, you're going to scratch the type of layer in order for you to reveal the underlying color. Yeah, and that's how you create a design. Sometimes you may use artist uses sharp or maybe blunt tools. It depends on them. Yeah, so that is graffito. Remember this, when it comes to graffito, it produces unique patterns and colors as well. Okay, so next one is we have charcoal. Charcoal is made up of burnt wood. It produces rich or darker tones. Yeah, it's easy to blend and it's also used to express yourself in drawing. Yeah, and in charcoal, we have varieties. We have different types of charcoal. The first one is the artificial or compressed charcoal. This type of charcoal is a type of charcoal in which it is commonly mixed. It is a powdered charcoal that is mixed with a binder in order for you to create this. And the reason why they call it compress is because you're compressing the powdered charcoal along with the binder. Yeah. And compressed charcoal or manufactured charcoal, you may be able to create dark or stronger lines. But the downside of it is it's harder to erase. But at the same time, it's also more durable and it's commonly used for final drawing. If you want to finish the drawing right away, or no, or you're just finalizing your drawing, you may be able to use this manufactured charcoal because it's stronger, it produces more darker and stronger lines, so on and so forth. Yeah, and also at the same time, also it creates darker or blacker, if that's a word, blacker colors compared to vine charcoal. Moving forward to the vine charcoal. Vine charcoal is a type of charcoal that is made of natural wood compared to the manufactured charcoal, which is mostly common in darker tones, with use of darker tones. In vine charcoal, it is a type of charcoal that is used for light and soft markings. Compared to the compressed charcoal, it's easier to erase and it's more fragile. Yeah. Fine charcoal is commonly good for sketching because it can erase easily compared to compressed charcoal. Yeah, and it also produces gray tones compared to this, which produces black. Yeah, that's fine charcoal for you. So now moving forward is we have the papers. So as you would know, papers is made of all made from wood or fibers. Yeah, I don't know how to explain this one because it's kind of self-explanatory. Okay, either way, when it comes to paper, it absorbs different types of media. Most of the time, we are using paper to put another media on the top of it. Like, for example, charcoal or pastel or even pencil or even paint sometimes. And that's paper. So we have different types of paper, the hot pressed paper, the cold pressed paper, and the rough pressed or rough paper. So as you can see, when it comes to hot pressed paper, it is smooth, and the cold press is not so smooth, but it's also smooth compared to rough paper. So these are the different types of paper. Moving forward to the painting. Okay, when it comes to painting, it is a type of art in which you commonly use or you commonly apply paint to the flat surface. It uses different pigments or different binders. Excuse me. It also uses different techniques as well. Okay. Yeah. So these are the different medias that is commonly used for painting. The first that we have is the watercolor. Yeah, when from the word itself, watercolor is a type of painting in which it combines paint with color. Watercolor is commonly have a transparent layers. Commonly have transparent layers. It's kind of light and delicate compared to other types of painting. Yeah, but at the same time, it dries quickly if you're gonna going to compare it to other types or medias of painting. Yeah, and at the same time, one of the disadvantages of using watercolor is it's harder for you to correct your mistakes with this, and it's commonly best used with paper. Gouache. Next one is gouache. I know you're familiar with this one because in our early stage of grade school, we're commonly using these types of painting or paint rather. Gouache. When it comes to gouache, it uses opaque paint. Compared to watercolor, gouache is commonly mixed with chalk. Yeah, it has a strong color coverage. At the same time, it has a matte finish. Yeah. One advantage of using gouache is it can be reworked easily. Yeah. And it is mostly used for illustrations, and that is gouache for you. Remember this when it comes to gouache, it is a type of paint that is combined with a chalk. Next one is we have the oil paint, in which it is commonly one of the most common types of paint, mediums of painting that's used by artists, different types of artists. It uses oil as a binder compared to this two, which is watercolor uses water, gouache uses chalk, and oil paint, from the word itself, it uses oil to combine with painting, or with the paint rather. Yeah. One disadvantage of using oil paint is it's kind of slow drying. Yeah. But it has plenty of advantages. One advantages of it is it has rich and vibrant colors. At the same time, it also allows blending of colors. You will be able to blend different colors to create another color if you're missing one. Yeah. And commonly, oil paints is used on canvas. Okay. Moving forward, this is the tempera. Yeah, so when it comes to tempera, it is one of the earliest mediums that is used on early paintings. Okay, yeah. Tempera is commonly mixed with egg yolk. It is a powdered paint that is mixed with egg yolk. One advantage of it is fast drying, but also at the same time, tempera isn't commonly used by different artists for the reason that it produces flatter colors compared to other mediums of paint. So they don't consider it as much as they consider other types of paint. Okay. Because it's kind of difficult to blend. Yeah. Next one is we have the fresco. Fresco is commonly applied with a wet plaster. So this type of paint is commonly used in walls for painting and murals because art is considered to use fresco because it can last long. Yeah, and also it requires fast work because sometimes it's kind of fast drying. That's fresco. Okay, so that is fresco. Moving forward to the most common, the most reliable one is we have the acrylic paint. When it comes to acrylic paint, it is a synthetic type of paint, in which it is one of the um, commonly used medium of painting in today. Yeah, it has a quick drying. It is quick drying, and it works on plenty and different types of surfaces. At the same time, artist considers this one commonly because it has a water resistant what do you call this attribute when it's dry, and it's kind of easy to clean. So that's acrylic paint. Okay, moving forward. Yeah, so as you can see, it's kind of quick drying and it's flexible as oil paint. It has the versatility uh it offers versatility that doesn't cannot be seen on other mediums of painting. Okay, moving forward from the painting, let us now continue with the mosaic. I know you're very much familiar with this mosaic. In this example, the artist uses small pieces of tiles or glass or whatever you call this. Yeah, in order for us to create a certain forms of images or patterns. So in other countries, mosaic is commonly seen in walls and floors. Yeah, and it is a type of art form that is kind of durable. But in the Philippines, the people here are kind of uh, rethinking of what they call this. They're kind of creating another way in order for us to represent mosaic. And you're very much familiar with that, with the mosaic, with the paper that is used for mosaic artworks, way back in grade school or even high school. So yeah, that's mosaic, and it's commonly used for decorative purposes only. Going forward, as the collage. When it comes to collage, it uses glued materials. In this particular uh, example, it uses different uh, what do you call this? Objects. It combines different objects to create a decorative or something. Sometimes also creates a meaningful artwork. And are you familiar with the what do you call this? I don't know if it's trash book or something like that that you're going to use the everyday trash or everyday things that you can see in your everyday life and you're going to collect it in order for you to create a scrapbook made off of different trashes. But it's not really trash, but you're recreating it to what do you call this, to create an artwork, which is considered as collage. Okay, so that is collage. It encourages your creativity and it's kind of easy to create sometimes because you're just combining things and you just need to be creative and to have different materials for you to recreate this one. And then next one is printing. Yeah, printing is an artwork. It is a type of art in which it reproduces images. Sometimes it uses printing plate, but the highlight of printing is for you to create multiple copies at the same time. Yeah, this is printing, and these are the different techniques for printmaking. The first technique for printmaking is relief. Yeah, in relief printmaking, it is a type of printmaking in which you're to raise a surface print image. Sometimes it is carved from wood, and it is one of the oldest method of printing. Imagine that you're carving a certain subject or certain artwork on a wood, and then you're gonna dump it into an ink, and then you're gonna stamp, and that's really painting for you. Commonly, inks is applied on the surface. It is a simple yet a bold process. Yeah, this is the relief painting. There's also an example of it, how it looks like. Okay, moving forward with the intaglio or the depressed printing. Intaglio printing. Uh, it commonly uses ink in carved lines. Sometimes it uses metal plates in order for us to recreate a detailed results. Yeah, inks are to fill in the grooves. Also requires pressure. Yeah, you're gonna really press it. That's why it is what do you call this? Called depressed. You're really going to press it in order for it to print this one. It looks like this. Okay. So that's intaglio printing. And saan ba tayo? And then the last one is surface printing. In surface printing, you're very much familiar with this if you're born around 2004 to 2006 because most of the t-shirts that is commonly used in reunions are printed like this. Yeah, yeah, if you experience things like this in the past. Alright, moving forward, going back when it comes to surface printing, it uses a flat surface to print a certain artwork or something like this, so a certain design. It uses stencil or something that we can call a silk screen. And then right after that, the ink needs to pass through the screen to the medium. Sometimes it can be clothes or sometimes it can be paper. But nevertheless, the idea of this one, behind this one, is you're going to um, print on a flat surface. Yeah, and it's kind of a smooth printing method because you're just gonna like put this thing back and forth, put another color, and then you're gonna put this back and forth again and again, and then after that, it's finished. It's done. Yeah, so that's surface printing. So I guess that's all for the 2D art. It's kind of short, but I hope you understand something. You get something from the discussion. Yeah, so that's about it. If you have any questions, if you have any questions, if you have any clarifications, feel free to raise your hands on the meeting. Yeah, so that concludes the chapter 3, artisan's medium. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.